Hello everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Every Bird Ranked. We have made it through almost 4 hours of edited video where we have all been learning about every bird in the entire world. From the smallest to the largest, from the most beautiful to the most not beautiful, from the most famous to rares. We are finally here, and we are going to put on our bird nerd hats one final time. What is that? It's incredible.
It's an osprey holding a fish.
Is that your bird nerd hat? I don't even have a bird nerd hat. I just
bird nerd hat.
My head is my bird nerd hat.
I also have a kakapo hat too, but
that is incredible. Excellent. I'm so glad you have a bird nerd hat. I have learned a lot from you. By the way, if you haven't already, you should go over to Backyard Expeditions channel. You can see more of this hat, and you can see more of incredible bird facts over there. So if you learned anything new from him, please just go subscribe right now. I'm gonna be making videos on this channel in the future as well, so feel free to subscribe here as well. But if you've stuck through 4 hours of videos on this channel, I really hope you've subscribed by now. Okay, so let's get started.
You actually like
it. We're going to work our way through the different bird groups, and we're doing all of them, all in a row, starting from the ones with 0 stars all the way up to ones with 5. So we're going bottom to top, and there's 42 bird orders, and we're going to see which bird is the best in the world. So the way we've decided to rank every bird is we've decided to give a weighted score to each of the stars. The first diversity star is worth 0.75 points. The famous star is worth 0.56 points. The amazing star is worth 3/4 of that. The intriguing star is worth 3/4 of that. And the beautiful star is worth 3/4 of that, about 0.24. If a bird group gets all 5 stars, it's worth 2.29 points. And if they get some subset, they get some amount of score based on that. There are tons of ties. There are tons of birds that got like 3 stars or 4 stars. And the way we've decided to break that is by the number of species. Diversity is very important in bird groups, and it's going to magnify the other attributes that we ranked these on. The more species that are in a bird group, the more diverse there will be, obviously, but then the more famous they're likely to be, the more amazing they're likely to be, the more intriguing. There's just more opportunities for the birds to be beautiful or to have some amazing attribute. So we've decided that the number of species in a bird group is a good tiebreaker. It turns out, though, that some bird groups have the same number of stars and they have the same number of species, so we're going to break those ties as we get to them. You ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to be starting with rheas, in a tier of their own, a unique bird, which is the one redeeming thing we can say about them, because they got 0 stars. They didn't get anything.
Yeah, unfortunately. They're cool birds.
They're cool birds. Yeah, but it is worth saying that they're unique. They did, in fact, get a tier of their very own. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on to the next tier, though. For the rest of the tiers, we're going to be moving through in quarters. There's about 10 groups in each of these quarters, and we're just going to list them bottom to top. So we have the Phenocopteriformis, the
Tropic Birds.
Tropic Birds.
Tropic Birds only got the beautiful star, because, yeah, they're gorgeous birds, but that's basically their one sort of feature.
And then we have Anceriformis.
The Messite.
Thank you. I'm really glad that the guy with the bird nerd hat got the job of saying the common name for these animals.
I don't know how to know. I took Latin high school, but I don't know.
Really? Wow. The next bird group is the Leptosomiformis.
The Cuckoo rollers, which are another Madagascar specialty bird that's just weird.
I have to say, I feel like I've learned so much in just participating in this video series with you. Like, being able to pronounce these words, or at least have a chance of pronouncing these words, and knowing mostly what you're talking about. Like when you say cuckoo roller, it's like, oh yeah, Dave the Cuckoo Roller.
I'm going to need to animate Dave the Cuckoo Roller for just a joke.
So thank you so much for both watching this video and for participating in this video with me. I really appreciate it. The next group is the Formies.
The Tinamous.
Tinamous. They're intriguing and beautiful, and there's 46 of them. The next group are the Formies.
Seriamas, or the Seriamas.
Seriamas, yeah. There's only 2 species, but they got 2 stars for it. The next group is the Formies.
The mouse birds. Everybody loves the mouse birds.
Everyone loves the mouse birds, and their cool feet. There are 6 species of those. They actually tied with Seriamas.
So we have to... Oh.
But there are 6 species instead of 2, so they pulled ahead just by the number of species.
Those their cute faces and cool feet.
Yep. The next group is the Casuariiformes.
Cassowaries and the emu.
Mm-hmm.
Our beloved emus.
Yeah.
I think there were more species of emu in the past that are now extinct.
Our next group is the Opisthokomiformis.
Or Watson's.
That felt so good saying it. Did you enjoy saying Hoatzin? Because I really enjoyed saying Opisthokomiformis.
Watson.
Oh, I said it wrong though. It's Opisthokomiformis.
Oh.
Oh.
Just a one, with one species, but good species.
3 stars for 1 species. Did they get the highest number of stars per species? I'm going to guess they did.
Hey, they got 3 stars for 1 species. That's a great snag.
Yeah? Okay, so we have our first tie here, which is the Struthioniformes, the ostriches. They got 0.98 points, and they have 2 species. The next group, the Europigiformes, also got 0.98 points, and they also have 2 species. So this is where our tiebreaker has to come in and break this tie, because otherwise it won't be the definitive ranked list of every single bird. And the way we've decided to do this, we came up with a way, and did you want to explain that?
Yes, so we're going with the idea of which species has the most ecosystem utility and has, the most ecosystem services in their representative ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And those species are going to get to be above.
Yeah, because all other things being equal, the bird is helping other species, so it's helping other species maintain their amazing and intriguing selves. Let's compare the 2 then. So with the Struthioniformes or the ostriches, how do they compare to the Sunbittern and the Cuckoo?
This is a weird one. So we've got 2 grazers on the African savanna.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 2 predators in South American rainforest and an island. Cuckoo, I think they must be the top predator of New Caledonia at this point. Historically they haven't been, but all the other native species that were bigger than them are no longer in existence. Now it's eating all the small geckos and skinks and stuff that make up most of the ecosystem now. And then we've got ostriches, which are one among many large sort of grazing species.
Are ostriches a unique food source or predator for any other animal?
They don't really hunt anything. Actually, we're going to have to give it to them, aren't we? Because of the Egyptian vultures. It's so fascinating because Egyptian vultures are famous for using rocks to break open ostrich eggs because they're really hard to get into. All birds are kind of important in ecosystems because eggs are these nutrient-packed pieces of protein, and all sort of animals that even sort of dabble in omnivory generally want to eat them. So ostriches having the largest egg in existence right now, that's just an important food source.
So it's a situation where it's probably very close and it probably could go either way. The adult ostriches are not differentiated at all, but the fact that they lay extremely large spheres of protein.
And I think Egyptian vultures are endangered at this point, or critically endangered, which is sad because all vultures are endangered. So it's really helpful. So I think we're going to have to give, for the Egyptian vultures, are going to just give it to the ostriches.
All right. For their single-handed conservation program of laying eggs that those endangered birds can eat. There's one extra benefit to having these tiebreakers is that we get to discuss these animals one more time. There's only...
Great, because I missed things. So I'm we have to
These feel like old friends. Really. They feel like, oh yeah, I remember them.
I remember talking about those birds.
Yeah, cool. The Gaviiformes are next.
Or loons.
Are you looking at a list or do you just know this?
I am kind of looking at let's put Gaviiformis together. Gaviiformis, or however we're saying.
Yeah.
I know that. I'll try not to look at the list. We should do that too.
If you want to prove how much you have learned about birds, but it's like, it is kind of cool.
Prove I've learned. Some of them are easy. Others I might have to look. What?
We have actually upgraded our brains though. That's like, yay, cool. The next group is the Pterocliformes.
The sand grouse.
The sand grouse. A fine group of birds.
Fine group of birds.
They got 3 stars. Okay, and we come to our tie, the Musophagiformes.
The Turacos.
The Turacos. And the Podicipediformes.
Grebe.
Yep, grebes. Good grebes.
Good grebe. I've been thinking about this one like all day. This is the hard one. Turacos are frugivores, so they're important for seed dispersal in their ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Grebes are fish eaters with a lot of other fish eaters. Mm-hmm. However, there's like all these weird grebes in South America that live in alpine lakes, and they're like only bird that's doing anything there. So they're probably important to their ecosystem. We've got like top predator in a couple ecosystems, and then a frugivore seed disperser in many rainforest ecosystems in Africa.
Seed dispersal is important because they're changing the composition of the forest that they live in. By spreading the seeds of the fruit that they're eating, they're planting more fruit trees and making it so that there's more food for other birds.
Yeah, seed dispersal is really important, but we also have top predator in a couple lakes in South America.
Yeah, top predators are actually important for maintaining ecosystems because they control populations of every level below them. Why did we pick this as a way to break ties? It's very complicated. Rainforests are very productive environments with a lot of biodiversity. So anything that helps a rainforest is going to help a lot of different species.
These high alpine lakes, they have a handful of species. These are really low diversity ecosystems, though.
So by helping the most species, it has the greatest ecosystem utility.
I do think that Turaco has a higher ecosystem utility than grebes overall.
All right, Turacos go 1 higher than grebes. So we're going to put them in the order Podicipediformes and then Musophagiformes. Okay, our next group are the Otidiformies. Bustards.
Bustards.
They got 3 stars.
Yeah. Cool birds.
Then the Troganiformes.
The Trogons and the Quetzals.
Nice. Did you have that memorized? Or
Well, I know that one.
All right, next one. The Apterigiformes.
Our little kiwi friend.
Yeah, you're right. They got 3 stars, but it was a different 3 stars, so they got more points. And then, I almost said this right the first time. It's really hard to pronounce, but I got it now. It's Syconiiformes. Storks. They got 3 stars.
You're my baby.
Yeah, they didn't get the beautiful star. They had the same number as kiwis, but they have more species. They have 19 instead of 5, so they ended up higher than the kiwis. Next, the Caprimulgiformes.
The nighthawks and poor wills and all those great little birds.
Yep, 122 species of them. Then the Phenocopteriformis.
Flamingos.
Yeah. This is the name that I am most happy to know after this series, is the phoenix wingbirds. Like, it's such a good fact about flamingos that they're...
And we learned that flamingos are like the toughest birds out there.
And that was a good discussion. I really like that one. And with that, we move up into our next tier. Just above the flamingos are the Cathartiformes.
The New World vultures.
New World vultures.
Our controversial opinion that they are prettier than that they get the beautiful star while the stork does not.
Yeah, and that is what pushed them above flamingos. Storks are just below flamingos, and New World vultures are just above.
Oh, we're going to get hate mail.
The next group just above them are the Spheniciformes.
The penguins.
Yep, the penguins. 4 stars.
Because they aren't diverse. That's why they're down here. Like,
Yeah, diversity is important. If there were like 400 penguin species, they would definitely be 5-star birds. Okay, next we got the Suliformes.
I just had it in my mind and then I forgot. Yes, the cormorants and the gannets and the boobies and yeah.
Also with 4 stars, but many more species than penguins. Above them is Falconiformes.
There are falcons and caracaras and the falcons.
Our next group above them is the Buceratiformes.
The hornbills and the hoopoes.
Hoopoes! Yeah, we learned how to pronounce hoopoe also in this one. Just above them are the Procellariiformes.
The tube noses. I just want to call them the tube noses, but
much easier to say than what we said.
Water albatross.
And the petrels of all the different flavors of petrel.
Every kind of petrel.
The Pelecaniformes come in just above them.
Our pelicans and our ibis.
And like herons and egrets and so many other ones that you wouldn't expect to be in the group.
Now we're into 5-star territory. Now we're ranking the 5-star birds.
Yep. So, and the next one are the Cuckooiformes.
The cuckoos.
5-star bird group, more species than Pelecaniformes. After them...
I believe there is another tie, is there not?
There is. So 178 species. The next group are the Anceriformis. Waterfowl, ducks, geese, swans, and screamers, and some others. The Carassiiformes.
Oh yeah, the kingfishers and the bee-eaters.
Yep. So we got to break another tie. We have kingfishers and relatives and ducks and relatives.
This one is weird. The thing is, kingfishers and bee-eaters are kind of one note. In terms of ecosystem, you've got, they eat bees. Those eat fish. I mean, there's more to it because a lot of kingfishers eat small reptiles.
Mm-hmm.
And there are, there's a lot of small islands where there are kind of kingfishers are top predators.
Mm-hmm.
And bees eat all kinds of insects. But ducks, the thing is, ducks, geese, swans, they're just so diverse. It's one of those things where they eat everything. They're like in every ecosystem. If you took them out, I feel like it would be pretty bad.
Yeah, that's interesting. The grasses, the fish, there's diving ducks, there's grazers like swans and geese.
I think besides continental Antarctica, ducks are part of every ecosystem.
More environments would fall apart without the presence of ducks than would fall apart without the presence of kingfishers and allies.
There'd be a few islands. I mean, Guam has totally fallen apart when their top predator basically was a kingfisher, a really cool kingfisher, but a snake was introduced and it ate all the birds on the island and it was really terrible, and now the island is just full of spiders.
Wow. Just those interconnections that show you how important each species can be.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And that's just what they eat. What eats them? Ducks are like the diet of everything in the wetlands. That's another thing. Everything eats ducks.
Yeah.
And geese. Up in the Arctic, I would think baby geese are on the menu #1 for foxes and bears and stuff in the summer. I would think that ducks, they're just so integral to wetland ecosystems because that's where they hit. But I think they're really, ecosystem-wise, super valuable.
Okay. Even though we acknowledge that kingfishers are important as top predators, we can give it to the ducks on this one in the tiebreaker.
Did we make the right choice? I think we made the right choice.
I think so too. All right. So moving on to the final tier, it's Gruiformes.
Cranes and rails and limpins and finfoots and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Which makes their extinction even sadder because now we're ranking 5-star bird groups and they probably had enough species before all of them went extinct to be number 2 or 3 in the entire world, and now they're just they moved way down in this tier.
Yeah, extinction sucks.
So that's why every extinction matters, because this ranking system is going to change every time something goes extinct.
Oh boy.
Also because then we lose a priceless treasure and a biodiversity heritage. Our next highest bird group is Strigiformes.
Owl.
They got 5 stars. Yeah. So number 8 bird group in the entire world the Accipitriformis.
Our birds of prey, your old world vultures, your hawks, eagles.
In number 7, the Galliformes.
Our landfowl.
The chickens.
I mean, they're really cool. Our curassows, which I totally forgot to mention curassows and chachalachas, which is it's like a whole thing because there's a whole conservation thing. There's a bunch of endangered ones. Like I think whenever we talk about landfowls, gotta mention the curassows.
In a previous video on this channel is the chickens are the most numerous birds on the planet thanks to their association with humans, but still only number 7 in the entire bird world. Columbiformes, also associated with humans.
Yes, the pigeons pulled it out and no. The pigeons did it.
Number 6 with 344 species. Okay, we had a lot of fun talking about this bird group over the last week or so. The Charadriiformes.
Which we're not even going to start mentioning how many are in there because we won't possibly do it justice. If it lives by the ocean and isn't an albatross or a duck, it's probably this.
Yeah, this seems like a big grab bag bird group. The list I saw was Vernon did 34 different subgroups in this group. The number 5 bird group in the entire world are the Charadriiformes.
This is a good top 5.
Number 4, the Psittaciformes. Parrots, 398 species. The Pichiformes in number 3.
Woodpeckers and toucans and their allies.
Mm-hmm. We're at number 2.
Gravitas for number... Yeah. Okay,
So in number 2, the number 2 ranked bird group in the entire world are the Apothemis.
Hummingbirds and swifts.
There's 480 species of them. All of these birds definitely are worth 5 stars in this tier. These are all very nice birds.
These top 5 birds, these are we are in the big leagues of birds here.
And speaking of big leagues, the number 1 ranked bird group in the entire world, the number 1 is Passeriformes with 6,533 species, more than every other bird group combined.
The perching birds.
They are the most diverse, almost by definition. They are the most famous because there is a perching bird near everybody on Earth. They are the most amazing because there are so many of them that there is no way they cannot fill the most amazing niches in every ecosystem. Maybe in Antarctica, penguins are king, but perching birds are there too, right?
Only on South Georgia Island. There's one perching bird in the Antarctic area.
So just barely on every continent in the world.
It barely does it, but they did it.
They are the most intriguing because, again, with that 6,500 species, there are going to be some amazing lifestyles that you've never heard of that are just mind-blowing. And finally, they are the most beautiful, mostly because songbirds themselves are just really nice looking, but also with so many. And this shows why the number of species is such a good sorting mechanism, because the more birds that there are, the more chances you have to be all of these other things.
Yeah, they truly are the most amazing birds. They are the juggernaut.
Looking back at those top 5, do you think that those top 5 are good top 5?
Those birds are all great. I love those birds.
I also have some statistics about the number of stars that were awarded. I didn't show you these in advance, but I just wanted to let you know the number of stars. The diversity star was awarded 16 times to 39% of the bird groups. The famous star was awarded 24 times to 59% of bird groups.
Birds are famous.
60% of, almost 60% of birds are famous, apparently. Or at
according
least,
to us.
Yeah, according to us, the people who study birds.
2 people from the North American continent.
And that's kind of why I put this together, because the 2 people who educate about wildlife and birds and things, we awarded the Amazing Star 35 times to 85% of birds. So We think most birds are amazing. Like, only 15% of birds were not amazing, according to us. Next, intriguing. Awarded 37 times to 90% of bird groups.
This is great. This is great.
So, if in the question of should we learn more about these birds and maybe teach more about them too, 90% of birds. Oh yes, we definitely.
I mean, but I kind of agree with that. I mean, like, as we said, the taxonomy is a hot mess, and that is just a tiny, small part of this of setting up the basics for behavior and ecology and stuff. That's why taxonomy is important, right? It sets up everything else to be studied, so we know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's all kind of this interesting thing. So yeah, that's part of like the science and trying to promote science. It's like we want to know more.
And I feel like anybody who made it all the way through this series and is still watching, like, you want to know more too. So we really appreciate you joining on this with us. Finally, are the birds beautiful? We awarded that 33 times to 80% of all birds.
A bird group. I mean, you could probably, yeah, I don't know what the actual statistics is like. I mean, most birds are brown. Are little brown passerines.
Yeah, most birds are brown, and we still awarded it 80% of the time. If you ask us, birds are amazing, intriguing, and beautiful and famous. And almost all of them are diverse also. We are going to award one final star, and that is, you can award the John star, and I will award the Steve star. It doesn't count for anything. It's not going to change the ranking. It's just like an honorable mention for the one that you would have given your star to.
I don't know. I kind of want to give it to flamingos. Like, I don't know why. If you're getting as tough as nails. I'm going to go with flamingos. I think that was like one of the most fun segments in this entire series was the flamingo segment. I just kind of want to give it to flamingos.
Okay, so you award the Backyard Expedition star to flamingos. Now I have to pick also. I'm going to give mine to the one that I can't pronounce, the Phenocopteriformis, the penguins.
So we went for like the one, because this was the funny, these are like the two birds which like they would have been 5-star birds if there were more species.
Yeah. Okay, so instead of going for a 5-star bird, we went for a bird that should have been a 5-star bird.
We went right for the birds that were clearly 5-star material, but there's only like a handful of species. So there's clearly a bias.
I was really surprised that they were a 4-star bird because they are so interesting among birds. And I really feel like they need to have a 5th star, even if it's just a symbolic one.
Symbolic, yeah. And the same with the flamingos. It's like birds should have been a 5-star bird. Why are they not? So yeah, so clearly, I think, and I yeah, that makes sense. Those are like probably the two birds that should have been 5-star birds, but weren't.
Thanks again for joining us on this extremely long journey. It feels like it's been just so long working our way through all this material, and we really appreciate all the effort that you've put into upgrading your brain, knowing more about birds, and enjoying them alongside of us. So that's been it for Every Bird Ranked. You should go over to Backyard Expeditions channel and you should subscribe to him. I'm also happy to welcome you back here next week. There's going to be more bird videos, so until next time, thanks for stopping by, for learning what makes life awesome.